blue.
Yeah, it's just with fluorescent, I think that yellow doesn't usually work.
It's close enough.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, I'm a little biased.
We can white balance before.
Yeah.
That's just a little.
I just don't have, I don't know what I do with my white.
Yeah.
I have a white.
Yeah, yes, you were there, yeah.
I don't know what I do
Thanks,
with
I
it.
appreciate
No,
it.
you're good. I got you.
What's the,
Mount Hood, yeah,
Mount Hood,
that's
yeah.
the mountain.
Yeah, we were gonna go skiing, but it was like.
Oh, I
I was
thought
talking to him, sorry.
Yeah, it's probably, every year there's a, they say, don't, this season, don't hike Mount Hood.
Yeah.
Somebody always does.
Yeah.
This happens every year.
Oh, really?
They're like, hey, don't go to Mount Hood.
Yeah.
Or at least during, when it's closed. Yeah.
Do you have white on that, on the cover part?
Bloody sword.
I swim in college.
Okay.
So.
Can you get it all? Do you care to stand there?
Sure, yeah, let's do it.
Use a
Oh, I got
white
white.
Yep.
balance.
I
Let's
have
go.
white.
Okay.
You can white balance off
Stuck
him,
with swimming.
So,
That ended
just
up
off his shirt there.
looking great, so.
yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I got a pretty good color.
Fewer concussions.
Yeah, that's great, definitely. That's cool. I was a soccer player.
Oh, right on.
Yeah.
Mic check. Anybody need a mic check
Played in high
while I'm
school.
up here?
Yeah, there's college. Yeah, college is good, yeah.
Did you go to UT or?
No, they don't have a minister.
Great, that's perfect,
Okay.
thank you.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
World Cup coming up this year? No, it just happened.
Yeah,
It just happened. You know, the Olympics.
Yeah,
What I get
yeah.
like in 4 years.
Yeah.
Cycle we're on.
Last year was the women's, and so this year will be World Cup, the Euros, and then the
Yes, hey,
2 more years.
sorry.
It'll be
Right.
the U.S. will be.
Nothing other than that.
Yeah, yeah, it's great.
Yeah, it's
I'll
fine.
try to go to any of those.
Yeah, yeah, that's all I need.
It was a lot of businesses, they, like, Coke, Atlanta doesn't like go to,
Yeah.
don't buy like all of it.
You're right.
And so, getting their own audience.
You got called to the radio show. I was
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
I gotta
yeah.
win a ticket.
You can get by.
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
Whatever it takes.
Yeah.
Do you wanna do the mic check as
Yeah,
well?
yeah, sure. Testing, 1, 2, testing, testing. Hey, everybody. Thanks for coming here today. Thanks.
Thank you.
Sounds good, thank you. Oh, yeah, he told me about that. Yeah. Yeah, he talked about that. Yeah, it's funny how, people, little things just happen.
Yeah, we're a little off. That's all right. As long as you guys got your shot, I'm fine. I will sacrifice mine.
You will sacrifice you. In sound check.
Yes. Just go with it.
Hey, morning, everybody.
Morning.
Trust you had a nice Easter?
Absolutely.
Good. Mike, do you want to come up here too, please, if you don't mind? Well, thank you all for being here today. We're here to talk about the vote last Thursday, the Farragut Town of Mayor and Alderman, in which case 3 aldermen from Farragut voted down our amendment to the growth policy plan, the Advance Knox initiative. That was a 2-year effort, cost the county about $1.2 million to develop this amendment to the growth policy plan. I have Mike Moyers with me. Mike is going to address the legal aspects of this issue. One thing to keep in mind is this body of law is PC 1101 in the Tennessee Code. It was all written to address forced annexation, which is where cities, municipalities will annex unincorporated areas even if the residents there don't ask for that, which is going on very aggressively. Then PC 1101 was written into law. It's not a great statute. There's a lot of murkiness, and that's part of what makes this so complex. And the other issue with it is that the General Assembly outlawed forced annexation. So there's really no reason to have this law anymore. But that's for another day. In this particular situation, we have some remedies that we can pursue, the Knox County pursue. And one of those is to declare an impasse pursuant to TCA 6-58-104B1. And essentially what that does is go to the state for mediation and potential arbitration. I was pretty disappointed in the vote because we had everybody at the table throughout this process. It was very transparent, a lot of community input. One of the most disappointing things was the 3 aldermen who voted against the amendments didn't partake in that process. They did not return surveys of infrastructure, issues regarding their area. So they didn't partake, yet they choose to vote against this. And nothing really changed in Farragut. You know, so much of this is about the land use plan and plan growth boundary and all those sort of things. And all that remained the same. So nothing was going to change anyway. And also we've heard a lot about North Shore. That's an issue, and it's an issue that we're addressing. So, you know, we've really gone out of our way to be good neighbors, to be accommodating. And when there is an issue that we can address, we do that. So the whole thing's just been pretty disappointing to me because I felt that that was the right thing for the county, for Farragut. It's somewhat frustrating that 3 aldermen in Farragut can overrule Richie Beeler, who is the county commissioner on the east side of the county, 45 minutes away, who voted for the amendment. And the fact that, you know, really have Farragut, town of 20,000 people, making decisions that go well beyond their jurisdiction and ultimately will impact close to 500,000 people. So at this point, I'll take questions.
Have you spoken to those three aldermen? Have you?
I have not.
Not at all.
Yes.
And then it
I
appears-
generally, I talk to Mayor Williams at least once a week, probably multiple times a week.
So you would probably, would you be able to know why they voted no?
There's
Do you
just-
have an idea?
Yeah, there's according to the meeting, they're worried about traffic on North Shore, which again, you know, we're addressing that. They are having a special meeting Wednesday where they would talk about the rationale behind voting in the negative. But again, the things that we've heard are not factual, and they're not applicable to that decision.
Are you able to talk about those things, or do you prefer them to talk?
I would prefer them to talk about it.
And then it appears that there's a May deadline to comply with the state requirements for this plan. Can you meet that, and how does it factor into the Farragut vote?
Mike, can you talk about that, please? Sure.
We had 120 days from the day that the Growth Policy Committee reported out its recommendations to act. We have acted, the county has acted, the city of Knoxville has acted, and now the town of Farragut has acted. So at this point, we have to ask what's the next step. And as the mayor referred, the next step is we declare an impasse. It's pretty clear that an impasse exists. In 2019, we attempted to amend the growth plan. Town of Farragut turned it down then. We then embarked on a 4-year, $1 million process to study the county and come up with a new recommendations that has again been turned down. The state statute that governs this, which is 6-58-104, provides for an alternative dispute mediation process. In 2000, when we first considered the growth plan, we had to go to that process because it was not agreed to by all the entities. We mediated out a solution and it was approved. That will be the next step for Knox County. We will be sending a letter to the Secretary of State declaring that an impasse exists, asking that the mediation panel be appointed, and we will attempt to mediate this dispute. If at the end of that process, the city and the town and the county cannot agree once again, then the next step in the process is an arbitration process where a panel of arbiters will make a binding decision on all three entities, which will obviate the necessity of any further votes by any of the entities involved. So that's the process that the statute gives us.
Just on the technical side of that, because I read that statute, it looked to me like to declare an impasse, you have to reconvene the Growth Policy Committee. Is that not correct?
There are a couple of ways to look at it. First of all, we have a side agreement with the town of Farragut that was put together during the mediation process last time, and it explicitly states that that is not necessary in the process of amendment. On top of that, the statute is not really clear about that. A lot of the procedure you see in that statute is aimed at the initial adoption of the Growth Policy Plan. In the initial adoption, the Growth Policy Coordinating Committee actually drafts the plan, which is then accepted by the county, city, and town. That's not what happens in an amendment process. In the amendment process, the Coordinating Committee can only say yes or no to the proposals, to the amendments that are proposed by one of the county executives, county mayor, town of Farragut mayor. They don't have the authority under the amendment process to amend that amendment, okay, that proposed amendment. So resubmitting it to them is kind of pointless. All they can say is yes or no. So we believe that that does not really apply here. We believe that under the language of the statute, which says if a recommended growth plan or revised growth plan is rejected, then the county or any municipality may declare the existence of an impasse. And we believe we can travel under that. So whether either under the agreement with the town of Farragut or the statute itself, we believe we have this authority.
Is it technically possible for Farragut to just come back and vote the other direction on this?
That would be up to their rules and procedures. I don't know what their town rules are as far as reconsidering a vote. There certainly is time for them to bring it back up and vote on it again. If not, then we will engage in this process with the state.
What's the timeline for this process? When is it going to
That's a good question. We will send a letter, hopefully today, no later than tomorrow, to the state asking them to appoint the panel, and then it's in their hands. They have to appoint the panel has to get together, the panel has to decide what its procedures are going to be, whether it's going to hold public hearings, public meetings in Nashville or here, or how they're going to handle that. So at this point, it's really difficult to say how long this will take.
Mayor, why are you choosing not to reconvene the growth policy committee?
There's really no point. I mean, again, you know, the city is okay with this, our commission's okay with this. It doesn't change anything in Farragut. So we're going to go back and essentially present the same thing. And I don't see any point in doing that and going through that process again.
And Mayor, we had one commissioner tell us that it would have been better if you were there while they voted.
Sure.
What are your thoughts on that?
We have worked with them a lot throughout this entire process, and frankly, we're all grown-ups, and I'm not going to be there to hold anyone's hand. You know, they all knew where I stood. I mean, I think that's been very evident out in the media, and again, you know, our folks worked every step of the way with Farragut. So, you know, I mean, I can sit there, I guess, and mean mug them, but in the end, they're going to do what they want to do anyway.
Does this change the county's relationship with Farragut?
No, I mean, people in Farragut are part of Knox County. Obviously, as far as, and I don't even want to say it's the town of Farragut, right? Because Mayor Williams and Vice Mayor Pavlin were on board with this and were very supportive. So no, but what it does do is we do have to reprioritize some things. You know, when Farragut is essentially saying to us now that they're okay with the status quo, they like the things the way they are, we do have other parts of the county that have some infrastructure needs that, you know, that we're just going to have to move up the list now because, you know, Farragut has basically taken the position that that's what they want. You even think about Mayor Williams has done some great work advocating for the Campbell Station exit. Well, you know, that was upgraded not that many years ago. How can I go to the state and say, you know, gosh, there needs to be a new exit at Campbell Station Road? When we look at Watt Road, we look at Emory Road, we look at some of the other things that we're facing. So it won't change the relationship, but it will change our priorities of where we're going to invest our infrastructure dollars going forward.
What does this do to the comprehensive land use plan? Is that supposed to come to county commission?
Yeah.
But that hinges on this growth.
And we're still looking at that and kind of debating, working through that.
Mayor, so I mean, with this not passing, should the status quo continue of, you know, nothing happening, what kind of position does that put the county in terms of accepting all the new people that are moving in from out of
Well, this
state?
is what we've been talking about the whole time. It's going to end up potentially costing us a lot more money. We will see if we cannot get to where we'd like to be. We'll see Hardin Valley probably in East Knox County, which is what we're trying to avoid. So all those scenarios that we've been talking about for months, even years now, will take place for the negative.
What are some of those infrastructure projects in Farragut that you might have to reprioritize?
Again, you know, we just have to look at that and figure it out. You know, we've talked about North Shore, where that project's going to go forward because that's an existing need. But some of the things that we might be looking at for helping with future growth probably will have to be reprioritized.
Mayor, do you think, we've heard politicians say that one town should not block the future of 500,000 people. Do you think there should be consequences to those 3 men?
The consequences are just a natural outcome of the vote. Again, which is we have to reprioritize our investment dollars. You know, you have to understand again that people of Farragut are still Knox Countyans. So we certainly don't want to do anything which is punitive for the folks in Farragut or Farragut itself. It's just that the signal that's now been sent is why would we do some of the things that we might do in the future if Farragut just wants to maintain the status quo? And we have other places in the county that's not an option.
What do you think would be the best way to resolve this setback? We've heard mediation, we've heard possible arbitration, but what do you, and possibly they have time to vote again and pass it. What do you think would be the best way to resolve this setback?
Well, the best way would be if they would reconvene and vote for it. I don't think that's going to happen, unfortunately. Because the justifications that were used, you can't address those because they're inaccurate and they're false. So I don't think that's going to happen. That would be the best way. Maybe it will. That'd be wonderful. Otherwise, hopefully we can go to the state and get this done as quickly as possible.
What's the cost of this mediation plan, if any?
That, we're not sure, as well as the timeline on that is something that's really just determined as we move forward. Last time this happened, it was 18 months. However, that was the initial growth policy plan. Since this is an amendment, it'll probably be less than that, but it will still be a significant time before this is resolved, in this case, if we have to go that route.
You've talked about going to the state before to actually look for legislative changes to that law.
Right.
Does this give added impetus I know you can't do that this year, we're at the end of the session, but is that something you might look at?
It's just, yes, I would love to do that. This is just a very frustrating process because instead of being able to go to our commission and just get it done, we have to then go to the city and then go to Farragut, and it's a time-consuming process. And again, the city did recode Knoxville, and when they did that, the county wasn't actually at the table, which is fine. That's absolutely their prerogative, and we're good partners with the city. But then it kind of boggles my mind that the towns can do whatever they want inside their own limits, which infects the county as well. But then the same argument we can't make, right? And now when we try to do something which doesn't impact them, interior anyway, then we're told that they have to have a seat at the table. But when they want to do things, we don't get a seat on the table, even though they're inside the county and it does impact us. So again, the whole reason for this was forced annexation. There's no rationale to have this law anymore, and all it does is create all sorts of friction and just adds time and hassle to the process.
There seems to be a sentiment against growth out there in the Farragut area. What do you
Well, I
say
think
to that?
actually that's across the state. It's not just in Farragut, and we see a lot of it in East Knox County, and I understand why, because we do have a lot of folks moving here, and we're going through some changes. I just remind everybody that, population growth brings challenges, it causes issues, but the reason people are coming to Tennessee is because we're a great place to live. And in many cases, they're fleeing places which are not a great place to live, or they are looking for a better place to live, in their opinion. That's really a compliment to us, right? You want to be the place where people want to live. You do not want to be the place where people can't wait to get out from. So as long as we are pursuing policies such as an extremely beneficial tax structure and being very business friendly, this is just the outcome of those policies. And it should really be considered a positive. Now we have to be able to work through it, but in the end, having people coming here with the economic vitality and resources that they're bringing, it is not a bad thing.
Who's going to be paying for this mediation process?
Go ahead, Mike. Sorry.
The statute says that at the end of the day, all of the parties involved pay, but it also says that where it appears that one particular party is acting unreasonably or in bad faith, all of the costs can be associated to that party. So that's certainly something we can consider down the road.
Mike, one question real quick while you're there, just a historical note. You mentioned 2000 that this went to impact. That wasn't Farragut at that point, right? That was the city
I
of
believe that was the city of Knoxville, but the process still required, and Farragut was at the table during the process, which is where these side agreements came into being.
And something I didn't ask in the beginning, can you please spell your first and last name? for the record?
It's Mike, which is easy, M-O-Y-E-R-S.
Thank you.
You need mine.
I need to email it to you so I'm certain.
Okay, to Glenn with two N's. Anybody else? Well, again, thank you all so very much. I'd like to wrap this up by thanking the Advance Knox team. They have worked diligently. Frankly, I wouldn't have done anything any different than what they've done and have put in a lot of hard work. I'd like to thank our county commission. I'd like to thank Mayor Kincannon and the city of Knoxville for their support. And I'd also like to thank Mayor Williams and Vice Mayor Povlin for their affirmative vote. And thank you also very much. If you have any more questions, feel free to talk to Mike Danilla. Mandy Benedict, who is also over the Advance Knox initiative, is also here and be happy to talk with y'all. So thank you all so very much. Have a great day.